Hello, welcome back. Good morning. So, who is ready to carry on writing their scary, scary stories from yesterday? If you missed yesterday's episode, go back onto my page and you can catch up, have a look. And because we went through quite a lot yesterday, we spoke all about the genre of a story, didn't we? And we discussed that there was loads of different types of genres. And we decided that we're going to be writing a scary story today. And we started our scary story yesterday, didn't we? And hopefully, after yesterday's episode, you went away and came up with your own ideas. And I would still love to hear from the grown-ups how you got on. And I'd love to see your pictures and TikToks and little videos of you coming up with the ideas, because we are all still in isolation, aren't we? And we haven't seen our friends for a long time. And those comments and those pictures will really help other children come up with ideas and just to reinforce that there are so many children all doing this together. It would be lovely. So please do share your pictures and comments as much as you can, guys. Now, after the episode yesterday, we spoke, well, during the episode yesterday, we spoke about the genre. We spoke about the location for our scary story, where it was going to be. We spoke about the main character ideas, and we used this storyboard, which you can still get on my website if you haven't already. And if you can't download things, if you can't print it, don't worry, because you can just use some paper as well. It will be absolutely fine. And we put our genre ideas up there. We've got our location ideas on the other side. And then, I don't know if you can see that, I drew very quickly the main character and a little ghost, just to remind me what my main character is going to be like. And today, we're going to be looking at the middle section of our story. But before we do, what's really important, and what I do as an author, and what I know a lot of other authors will do, is always come back and edit what you wrote the day before, because no doubt you will have made mistakes, just like me, because I make tons of mistakes, and that's why it's really important to edit. And also, it's a really good chance for you to make your story even better. So let's have a look. This is what I've written. Clunk went the front door as Simon's dad unlocked it for the very first time. He, his mum, and his dad all walked into the dark and dusty hallway and looked around. Today was a big day for the Joneses family. They were moving into their new house. Now, Simon was short and 8 years old and adventurous, and he had brown hair and blue eyes. The house Simon's family were moving into was old. In fact, it was hundreds of years old, and Simon's mum assured him that it wasn't haunted. Now, I like the story, and I like the ideas, and I'm glad that I've described what Simon was like. But I don't think it's very engaging. In fact, I think it's a bit boring. And did anybody notice I used "and" so many times? I think I'm going to cross it out and try and make it a bit better. And remember, parents, the grown-ups helping, it doesn't matter how messy our stories get at this point, because we're going to neaten it up and you'll have a chance to rewrite your stories later on this week. So don't worry about how messy it is. So, how can I make this better? I know. Simon was quite short for an 8-year-old, but his adventurous personality made up for it. At school, he was well known for his spiky brown hair. I think that sounds much better. Now, let's talk about the house. The house Simon's family were moving into was over 100 years old, but Simon's mum assured him that it wasn't haunted. I think that sounds better. So Simon was quite short for an 8-year-old, but his adventurous personality made up for it, and at school he was well known for his spiky brown hair. The house Simon's family were moving into was well over 100 years old, but Simon's mum assured him that it wasn't haunted. I'm much happier with that. And do you see how editing something, you can really make your story so much better in such a short space of time? So once you've done that, once you've edited your story, it's time to start thinking about the problems that your main character is going to face. Now, depending on the story that you decided to write, some of you might have chosen the other options from yesterday. You might have chosen the frightening forest or the scary school. But if you're like me and you've chosen the haunted house, well, we've got to think of a problem for our main character. But in the woods, maybe your main character could get lost, and that could be the problem. Or if you've written something about a school, well, maybe it could be a scary head teacher. A scary head teacher, and the head teacher, the problem, the teacher tries to curse the children. Wouldn't that be scary? So those are some options if you've chosen different stories. But for the haunted house story, I think the ghost is going to scare Simon. I think the ghost is going to scare Simon. And I'm going to write that in this box on my storyboard. Because remember, this storyboard is for where we put our ideas. But if you want to, you can draw a picture here if that's going to remind you as well. So I'm going to put the ghost scares Simon. And I'm going to put some exclamation marks in there as well, so that I remember that it's going to be really scary. Then we need to think of how the problem is solved. How does the main character overcome that problem? And if you think about the stories that you've read, I'm sure that the main character would have a problem, and then the story gets resolved. For example, in my book that I read the other day, The Day Granny's Knickers Blew Away, the main character's problem is that Granny's knickers blow away. But the solution, the ending, is that she finds them again after looking for a really long time. She finds them again. And that's the solution. So it's really simple. So if you've written about being lost in the frightening woods and your main character gets lost, well, maybe a solution could be that the characters make a broomstick out of the twigs in the woods and they fly home. Or maybe if you set your story in a school and the head teacher curses the children, maybe the dinner lady could put a spell on the head teacher that saves all of the children. That would be quite exciting. And what about solutions for the haunted house? Well, the ghost scares Simon. Maybe Simon and the ghost could become friends. They could become best friends. So I'm going to put that in my little box down here. Ghost and Simon become friends. Now, we're going to leave the ending box because that is going to be for tomorrow's episode. And now we've got the middle section of our story. We've got the ideas for the middle section of the story, haven't we? We've got the ghost is going to scare Simon, and the solution is that the ghost and Simon become friends. Now, what we need to do, what's really important, is we need to think of the vocabulary that we use in the story, and we need to make sure that it matches the genre. And the genre is that it's a scary story, so we need to make sure that the vocabulary or the words that we use are scary and spooky and terrifying, and they all build suspense in our story, and that they're appropriate for our audience. Now, I think what would be really useful is on your storyboard sheet, if you turn it onto the back, if you write down as many scary words as you can think of, you could use these in your story. So I'm going to write some scary words. I'm going to write scary, spooky, creepy, terrifying, horrifying. And that's just a few to get me thinking. But I think you could do loads more than that. But have a look, see how many you can come up with. And by the way, I'd love to hear in the comments your story ideas. So please put in your comments the ideas for the middle section of your story, the way that the problems that your characters are going to face, and the solutions as well. And guys, just a reminder, if you're watching on a rebroadcast, if you're not watching this live, you can still comment. It's really important. Please do. So, we've got the characters, we've got the characters' problems, and now we've been thinking of the scary words that we're going to put into the section. And I'm going to start my section by saying Simon was in his room trying to sleep, and I think he should be in his new bedroom. So that night, when Simon was trying to get to sleep in his new bedroom, he heard a scary noise outside his door. He thought it was just his mum or dad. But then he remembered they were already tucked up in bed. Maybe it was the pipes, he told himself. Then he heard it again. A spooky ooh sound. Now, I've written that in the second box on my story page. So if you guys do that again as well, I'm going to stop my story just there because I think it's time for you guys to go away and start writing your story. And remember, it's okay to make mistakes and change things around. And we're going to neaten these stories up later. So don't worry if they're not very neat and tidy just yet. But I'm not going to forget today. I've still got my top secrets to share with you. So, who's ready for the top tips today? And it says top tips on these as well. And I tell you what though, I know these are my top secrets, but when we do eventually get back to school, I'm going to say it is okay for you to share these secrets with your friends, because I'm sure they'd love to know. So, my top tip today, think about vocabulary that matches your genre. So think about all those scary words, those describing words that will make your story really scary. And then the second tip is don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just remember to check for them when you edit your stories. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just remember to check for them when you edit, because I make tons of mistakes. And that's okay. And I'm sure a lot of other authors do as well. Now, if you guys have got any questions, as always, or if the kids have got questions, or if the grown-ups have got questions, please get in touch. You can send me a message, or you can put your comments down below. Tag your friends, your school friends, or your school friends' mums and dads in this as well. Tag them in so that they can see how great this is. And please share your videos. Like I said, if you haven't already, go over to YouTube and see Grace and the Haunted Mansion, which was the inspiration for this week's story. It was sent in by Imogen a few weeks ago, and it's been turned into a video for YouTube so that she can share her story with everyone. All right, so head on over there. And tomorrow we are going to be writing the ending of our story, so I can't wait to see what ideas you guys come up with. We're also going to be talking a bit more about editing and some tips and tricks for that as well. And we're going to be adding even more scary language to expand our spooky vocabulary. Anyway, enjoy writing the middle section of your story, guys, and I'll see you the same time, 11 o'clock tomorrow. Bye-bye.